Hello and welcome to Kotak Securities YouTube channel. I'm Indu Chaudhary and this is Kotak Chatroom, a show where we talk about primary market IPOs and interact with management to get their opinion. In this special edition, we are going to be focusing on Global Health Limited, which is the operator of Medanta chain of hospitals. Joining in to discuss more details on the IPO with me, I have the top management of Global Health, Dr. Naresh Trehan, joins in. He is the chairman and managing director of Global Health Limited. Also joining in is Mr. Pankaj Sahni, Group Chief Executive Officer of Global Health Limited. Welcome to the show to both of you and thank you so much for taking the time out. I shall start with this conversation by asking Dr. Trehan about this IPO first. What is the objective of launching this IPO and how will it really help the company?
So if you give you a little background of Medanta, why Medanta was created. It was created with the view that in this part of the world, that is India and its surrounding countries, what was missing was institutions like Mayo Clinic, Cleveland Clinic, Harvard. These are institutions that are in the US, which deliver the highest end of care across all specialties. So that platform actually did not exist in India. So we created this 2.7 million square foot of 1300 plus bed hospital in Gurugram as a startup. Opened in 2009, 2010. And when we got the infrastructure was built to international levels, the technology was acquired from around the world, cutting edge, and then the human capital which joined us was we were lucky to have the best of kind benchmarked against the world to be on the same platform with us. So all our consultants, chairmen who lead the different verticals of institutes across all specialties are building verticals like departments inside the institution, and we work together to take care of the patients so that no matter what the patient's problems are, and frequently they are multi-specialty, that all the specialists work together to make the outcome the best possible for any given patient, no matter how complicated the disease is. And that's exactly what we wanted to create. And fortunately, when we started at the end of 2009, early 2010, very quickly, the standards were achieved and the team started working together, and we broke even financially also within the first 15 months. And also we paid back all the loans within the first 5 to 6 years so that we got the confidence that in spite of creating this kind of facility, which was never seen in this part of the world before, we had seen success not only in the medical accomplishment, but also financially. And our systems and our protocols were so robust that we felt the confidence that we should take it to other parts of the country where people needed this kind of care. So the first choice we had was Lucknow, which is 200 million people of UP, did not have this kind of care. And we established a 1,000-bed hospital, which opened in early 2020. And this has been sort of seen that these protocols and all the standards were replicated there, and it saw a very steep takeoff, so that financially it broke even within first year of operations and is producing a very healthy return of 28% EBITDA. So that these teams that have come together have been able to actually do what we intended to do in Lucknow, and then we started with Patna, another 130 million people in Bihar who actually don't have that kind of care that we wanted to provide. And that also it has taken off now. We just opened a few months ago and it's just taken off, and people are appreciating that this standard which they get at an affordable price with total integrity is what the principles on which Medanta was built and is being rolled out. Also, we picked up along the way 2 facilities, one in Ranchi, smaller one, and one in Indore to serve these 2 states also. So the basic thing is that we have now felt that we should continue this journey. Now we have started construction in Noida, and Noida is going to be another 550 beds. That is going to come online in another 24 months. So we want to continue that journey, like we have taken steps like this, like big steps, and served areas which need this kind of facility, which has the population that needs this, that missing edge is to be completed by us. So this will continue this journey all over, and we are now, if you look at it, from Patna to Noida to Gurugram and Ranchi and Indore, we have cut across the entire heartland of India's population. And like I said, this story will go on, and we feel that doing the IPO at this stage, where the company has reached maturity, its systems, its standards have all been standardized, and we have been able to replicate this care across all our facilities, that it's time to do this IPO. And we are, as you know, we are taking in 500 crores of primary. And as it is, our balance sheet is pretty healthy, and we'll give you the details later. But that's the purpose of doing this IPO. And also, one of our investors, a PE fund, Carlyle, which has been with us for many years, their fund life has finished, and then it will also facilitate their exit, since they have to return the money to their investors in the fund.
Okay. So, Mr. Sahni, could you please give us some details about this IPO and how the company is looking to use the funds raised by the fresh issue?
Sure. The IPO will be about 2,200 crores in complete size. And out of the 2,200 crores, the company will be taking about 500 crores of primary into the company. Out of this 500 crores, 375 crores have been earmarked for repayment of loans. These are loans that we had taken to build out our hospital in Lucknow, which is about 1,000 beds by the time it is complete, and our hospital in Patna, which will be 650 beds by the time it is complete. Both these hospitals already operating, with Lucknow at about 500 beds, and as Dr. Trehan mentioned, performing very well. Patna Hospital, which we started in January of this year, currently about 300 beds, also growing very strongly. So this is the primary purpose for the 375 crores. This will help us with further strengthening our balance sheet. We have already a fairly strong balance sheet. We have about 500 plus crores of cash on hand, a total gross debt of about 800 crores plus. And so when we look at our current net debt position, it is only about 300 crores or so. And with the additional funds coming in, we'll further be able to strengthen our balance sheet. And this will set us up not only in terms of interest cost saving, but also in terms of a stronger balance sheet for the growth that we see coming, whether it is the short-term growth in terms of adding on the existing services, existing specialties, growing our volumes, recovering on international travel, which we see coming back well, as well as growing out the additional bed capacity in our Lucknow and Patna facilities, and of course our newer facility, which is coming on board from Noida. We've seen a very, very strong response from some of the institutional investors. If you have a look at our anchor book, which was released yesterday, you will find some of the leading funds, both international as well as domestic. When you talk on the domestic side, almost 12 or 13 of the Indian mutual funds are participating. Almost all the leading mutual funds are part of the anchor book. When you look at the international investors, you have the likes of GIC, you have the likes of Nomura, Canadian pension funds as well. So really very strong support from international financial investors, from Indian mutual funds, from the life insurance companies. And we've had a very, very strong response to our institutional anchor book, both in terms of breadth as well as depth of demand. So we feel well set up for the growth that we see coming in the short and medium term, as well as, of course, for the longer term as we move forward.
Okay. Dr. Trehan, we have seen a huge transition between pre-COVID and post-COVID. So how do you see the occupancy rate going forward for all your facilities?
So if you look at it, in Gurugram, we are now 64% plus. This is even after the fact that internationally we used to have 11 to 12% of our revenue came from international patients. Because of COVID, that got disrupted. Now it has come back about halfway, and it's continuing to grow. So with the extra international traffic, we will see that the occupancies will go even higher. And you know that the efficiency that we have achieved in our operations has been, we are throwing up an EBITDA of about 23%. In Lucknow, we are throwing up an EBITDA of 28%. So Patna has just started, and it looks like it may break even in the first year of operations also. So that's why we see occupancies going up as we move forward, because like Lucknow is adding beds on a daily basis, so is Patna, and the occupancy continues to stay 60 plus. So that's why we think that there is a lot of headroom. There is a lot of demand from us for the high-end procedures. And also, you must understand that we are making a lot of changes in producing surgeries and technologies where a lot of the procedures which required admission to the hospital can now be done as an outpatient, or as a day surgery or as a day procedure. So if you look at our occupancy during the day, it's about 20% higher than what we have in the night. And when I told you about the 64% plus is night or midnight occupancy. So there is a lot of activity in the institution, and there is still growing. And we have just added some new specialties like the mother and child in Lucknow, which is doing extremely well. We just last year added the Institute of Chest Surgery and Lung Transplant, and that's doing very well also. So that's why I'm saying that as new things come on, new technologies come on, and new specialties develop, we are seeing that kind of response, because we are at the leading edge, we are at the cutting edge of all these procedures. I mean, like we have a very high volume of liver transplants, kidney transplants, even robotic kidney transplant, which our teams invented. So we have a huge traffic at high end. So you name it, and we do it here. So that's why, I mean, if you look at our Cancer Institute, the modalities we have in our armaments in the radiation oncology, we have 4 machines used for specific cancers, so that we have 2 Linacs, 1 CyberKnife, and 1 tomotherapy. So we do not shoot the tumor with the same machine, no matter where the tumor is or what kind of tumor it is. We actually specialize and match the machine that is required to give the best result for that patient as required. So we have the facilities to do these kind of things. We have specialized, like a brain suite, where there is a MRI in the operating room for the neurosurgeons, so that when they are doing their operations real time, they can check the completeness of the operation and preserving the normal tissue, because the operating table slides into the MRI, and traditionally you had to close the patient, take them out, take them downstairs to the radiology, and then see if it was not complete, open the patient again. So that was a very messy system. So we have provided all these things in our facilities, across our facilities, so that you will see that the appreciation that we are getting from our patients, because our the guiding principles are 3. One is highest end of care by teams which are all together on the same platform. It is to be given at the most affordable price we can. And third, should be with total integrity, because of the fact that we don't have any quotas. The doctors are free, they're full-time, they're free to practice their specialty at the highest end, and we provide them the tools for it. So that's why when you actually stitch these things together, the end result is always much better.
Okay, so Mr. Sahni, I would like to understand from you, what would be the revenue growth drivers going forward, and is there a plan or strategy to expand your business post-listing in different business verticals also?
If you look at our revenue performance in the financial year 2022, we generated about 2,200 crores of top line. And while FY21 did have COVID and a little bit of disruption in the industry, if you look at our revenue growth, even from financial year 20, pre-COVID to financial year 22, you will see that it's an approximately 20% CAGR over the course of those couple of years. So we've seen very strong trajectory in our growth across the group, and also good amount of traction and strong trajectory, as Dr. Trehan also mentioned, in our newer facilities in Lucknow as well as in Patna, which is a little bit newer than Lucknow. So we feel fairly confident about the growth that we've seen in revenue. As we look at our growth going forward, there are several levers that will play out. One, of course, will be the increases in patient volumes. Dr. Trehan mentioned the fact that our international business, which used to be at about 11-12% of our top line, is only about 6% because of some of the logistical challenges which were created because of COVID, travel restrictions, etc. As we see that coming back, that will potentially add to the revenue uplift. We will see some amount of revenue uplift coming in from newer specialties, newer doctors. Like Dr. Trehan mentioned, we've added in a couple of newer specialties, started our mother and child services in Lucknow. We continue to add doctors into our facilities, not only in our newer facilities like Lucknow and Patna, but also in some of our mature facilities, adding clinical teams, adding new specialties in these facilities as well. And then, of course, we see growth coming in from our new facilities. We started our Lucknow facility with 410 beds. That's already approximately 500 beds now, with good occupancy levels of about 60%. So we see growth coming in Lucknow as well. Our Patna facility, we started that in January of 2022. We started that at about 100 beds. That is now approximately 300 beds. So we see growth coming in from there as well. So overall, there are several levers, and all this growth has come in despite the fact that we haven't really taken tariff increases in our Medanta group since December of 2019. We did see the COVID pandemic creating some disruption for the industry and for patients. So we will look at what is the appropriate time for us to take those tariff increases as well. So there are several levers, both in terms of the existing hospitals, as well as in terms of the newer hospitals, in terms of existing specialties, as well as newer specialties, that will drive some of this revenue uplift. And as we look beyond these 5 hospitals, we have our Noida facility, which will come on board in financial year 25. And then, of course, also looking into out-of-hospital adjacencies. So we started our outpatient pharmacy business. We took that in-house from an outsourced partner. That generated a very good revenue of about 54 crores in financial year 22 with a fairly healthy gross margin. We've started our home care business, out-of-hospital diagnostic services also. So there's a lot of activity happening, not just within the hospital space, but also across that continuum of care, trying to take our care not only to patients in the hospital, but to patients closer to the home and where they live.
Absolutely. Dr. Trehan, as Mr. Sahni said, we have noticed a drastic change during the pandemic in terms of digital concentration. We have started taking online consultation also. Now, do you think that in post-COVID scenario, digital concentration is going to be a key focused area in this vertical?
You're right that there is this. Actually, we were doing with digital and video conferencing with patients. Consultations were being done even before COVID started. But what COVID did was it compressed the future plans right immediately moved it forward, so that it became very important for patients to be able to access us 24/7 by this medium. Now, even after COVID seems to have been, it's not gone completely, but the fact that it is abated, that we do have a continuum of patients now connecting with us, and it's a huge benefit to the patient. That I'll give you an example. Supposing somebody comes to Medanta for 1,000 kilometers, 1,200 kilometers, which normally frequently they do because 60% of our patients come from all over India and overseas. Now, when they used to come, they used to get a consultation, being told, say, supposing they needed a bypass surgery, they'd go home, get prepared, and then come back. Now, with the video consultation, we review everything and we can give them the diagnosis and the preferred treatment. And then when they come now, they come prepared because all their questions, all their financial things have already been addressed. So that is the benefit of this kind of engagement with the patients. And also when they leave the hospital, they know that they can be in touch with us real time on video 24/7. So that whole mystery of what will I do? I'm getting sick, but I can't get my doctor. That doesn't happen. We are on 24/7. So that's why this is just one example of technology. Now we have remote devices. We have a device which is the size of a small cigar. You put your thumbs on it and hold it in your hand, and it records your 6-lead ECG, and it sends it to us 24/7 right away, real time. And then if there is something serious happening, suppose if somebody gets chest pain, it sends us this ECG. We can tell if that chest pain that they are getting is dangerous or not. So you can guide people, even them sitting at home or they are traveling, they were in an airport and they feel uneasy or uncomfortable. Yes, they can be in. So there are many technologies like this which are being leveraged right now to enhance the connectivity of the patient to us, to make it safer for the patients, and also much cheaper, because if you can save them the expense of coming to the hospital every time they feel something or they need a consultation, it costs a lot of money. So everybody is a winner in this kind of engagement that we have now, and it is progressing on a daily basis.
Absolutely.
I'll give you an example.
Yeah.
That we became doctors to treat disease. Then we said, no, we should try to detect it early. So we said early detection. Then we said, let's do prevention so that people don't get sick. But we did not specify. Everybody was painted with the same brush. You don't do this, you do this, you don't do that, don't do that. Now we have the ability to do predictive medicine, where we do analysis of your genetic makeup, your biomolecular makeup, your environmental makeup, and all other social influences, and we can now tell you from what are the possibilities of developing heart disease, diabetes, even some cancers. So the whole methodology, with the introduction of new technologies and new skills with the doctors, there are many changes happening, and we are leading it all the time.
Going forward, Mr. Sahni, in FY22, the company has registered a net profit of 196 crore, which is 6.8 times more than FY21. Is this growth sustainable, and what would be your top line and bottom line for the coming years?
So as you're aware, SEBI restrictions prevent us from giving you what could be potential future-looking outlooks. But let me put it like this. When you look at our performance in financial year 22 and you look at our performance in the first quarter of financial year 23, you will see that our growth trajectory continues to be strong. I already mentioned our growth from financial year 20 to 22, even if you discount our 21 dips because of COVID, has been very strong. We see this growth continuing out into the first quarter of financial year 23. And this growth coming not only from our existing and mature facilities, but also growth coming in from some of our newer assets, as I mentioned, in Lucknow as well as Patna. And from the response that we've seen from our patients across the cities where we operate, we feel fairly confident about the growth that we see coming out in the short run. I mentioned as well that we are adding in specialties. We are still growing out some of these institutions. So in our Lucknow facility and our Patna facility, we are adding in radiation oncology as an example of a service. That service should come on board in the next couple of months. We are adding in doctors in these teams. We're building out operating theaters. So as we speak, we have construction happening in our facilities in Lucknow and Patna to add 7 to 10 operating rooms in each of those facilities. We're adding in ICU beds. We have a huge demand for critical care beds because of the complex nature of treatments that we do, because of the complicated patients that we handle. So we see a lot happening in terms of the demand for our services, and that's fairly evident when you look at the past performance of a facility like Lucknow. Despite the COVID pandemic, we broke even and generated about a 15% EBITDA in financial year 21. That's grown to about 28% in Lucknow in financial year 22. So a lot of very positive traction coming out across the group. And so this gives us a lot of confidence in the growth that is to come.
Sure. Dr. Trehan, last question to you. How do you see the overall growth of this segment? What's your outlook? And what could be the immediate challenges that you could face post-listing?
So if you see, the story of India healthcare is just starting actually, because of the fact that we are about 50% of where we need to be to provide minimum healthcare to our country. So the growth potential is huge. And we are well positioned to participate in it because we have our systems, our protocols, our methodologies are very robust now. And we, as we said, that not only are we creating facilities, but we are also breaking new ground in science. We have a very active uh, research department. We have a very active education department, so that on a daily basis we are moving forward in our skills and our ability to treat patients better and better. And like what we are now, basically our concept is what we call destination therapy facility. People come here for most complicated of their problems, not only from this. About 60% of our patients come from outside of out of the NCR area. So that's why now we feel that Vedanta is well poised to participate in that growth that is coming now and will continue for many years to come. Second is the fact that there is a lot of facilitation happening for patients to access. So the safety net is also increasing at every level. So insurance is actually multiplying. Now it has to go much deeper still. So there are all the factors are in favor of that medicine, which is needed 24/7. If people did not have awareness of it, now after COVID has really shown people that the ones who had comorbidities which were not handled well, they suffered hugely during the COVID pandemic. The ones who stayed healthy or were taken care of their maladies by proper institutions, they did much better. So now there is a lot of currency being put into health, in personal currency of each individual wanting to stay healthy. And we see this trend continuing because we are offering them also therapies which are now more, like I was saying, predictive, early detection. We try to do them with a minimal invasive manner. Robotics has taken off. We introduced robotics into India, and now we have robotics. Every specialty is doing robotics. So there is a lot of movement and there is a lot of space. So we expect 15-20% growth every year. And that's we are well poised for it. There are limitations from our RHP that we cannot mention what are the specifics, but this growth will continue, as you have seen in a short period of 10 years, where we have gotten from one facility, and this story should continue. And we know that we will be exploring new frontiers, new methodologies of delivering healthcare in the most efficient manner, since we have already started converting a lot of procedures to daycare procedures. So that if you look at our occupancy during the day, it's 20% higher than our midnight occupancy, which is about 64-65%. That we are actually a very busy facility in whichever way you go. So it's been a very nice experience of providing this, very satisfying. And we stick to our principles, as I said earlier, of the three principles of doing medicine and delivery of care. Because I truly believe, and I've often said, that good medicine will make good business, but good business does not make good medicine. So stick to the core, do the right thing for the people. They will come to you. You don't have to go attract them with all sorts of things which are maybe right or wrong. And that's why I think Medanta has come, and under the Global Health banner, we have come a long way, and we can hope to continue with this ethos as we move forward. And if you detect pride in my voice, it is.
Sure. Well, in that note, thank you so much, Dr. Dharan, Mr. Sahni, for being with us on the show and to share insights about this IPO. All the very best for your this new journey. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Investments in securities market are subject to market risks. Read all the related documents carefully before investing.